Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and happy weekend to you all, wherever you are right now. It's still JC Matters with Roy, and guys, I'm so happy to be here today, and not just me alone, as you can see. I have with me this amazing family who has really been here for us over the years, sharing with us from their wealth of experiences. And guys, today's discussion is going to be an interesting and a practical one. So, guys, if you can see me clearly and you can hear me audibly well, don't hesitate to share this video out with your friends. Let them know that yes, we are live already. Your siblings, your colleagues, and whoever you know is going to benefit greatly from this conversation. So, guys, I want you to join me in welcoming our special guests, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Bolaji. Thank you very much, sir and Ma, for the opportunity to have you with us on board this wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon, evening. It's a global conversation. All right, sir and Ma, briefly introduce yourself and especially for the sake of people who will be watching you who don't even know you and will be watching you for the first time today. Over to you, sir and Ma.
Good day, everyone. We appreciate the privilege to be here once again. My name is Fola Bolaji, and this is my wife, Bumi, beside me. We are based in Massachusetts, the United States, and we are both computer scientists, and we are all growing in the Lord. It's a pleasure to be here once again. Thank
Wow,
you.
thank you very much, sir, for that brief introduction. Guys, if this is your first time joining this conversation, it's Jane Say Matters with Roy, your favorite YouTube channel where you get to learn, relearn, and unlearn from different aspects of life. And for some time now, we've been considering marriage issues, marriage matters. And today, like I said earlier on, and if you have been able to see the flyer, today we are having an interesting conversation, which is on managing ways by which you can actually manage long distance relationship in marriage. Surprising, right? You're like, maybe possibly are thinking, we're married already. How will that happen? We are already joined together. So, what's the essence of living separately for a long period of time? Guys, I tell you, life happens. So possibly for some, it is as a result of education. Possibly the husband or the wife has to travel maybe to another part of the world, to a different country entirely to study to further his education. And for some, they have one conference or the other, one thing or the other take people away from each other, especially couples. And that's the essence of the discussion today. We are going to be looking at tips and means by which you can actually manage long distance relationship while you are still married. So while I leave the floor to our special guest today to hear from them, what are those things, their thoughts on long distance relationship in marriages. One more time, if you can see me clearly, don't hesitate to share this video out to your friends, your colleagues, your siblings out there who are going to benefit greatly from this discussion. Over to you, sir and Ma. We would like to hear from you, your views, your opinions about long distance relationship in marriages, some of the causes, and what people can actually expect, because I know some don't even believe that things like this can happen. Over to you, sir and Ma.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me start with a very short story. I remember when I was born, I was still less than a year when my dad had to travel out of Nigeria. He traveled to United States on a scholarship, federal government scholarship, for his first degree and master's. And when he traveled, there is a friend of his that usually come to check on us once in a while. And eventually, after about 3 years, when he came back, I was close to 4 years old. And that friend of his is the person I usually call daddy, 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 daddy. Because he was the one that was always coming to check on us. That was the person I grew up to know, daddy, daddy. Now, when my father came from the United States, it was his friend that brought him from the airport. And when everybody was shouting, running after, hugging my dad, I was not running at him at all. I was running towards the other man and saying,
Wow.
Daddy is back, Daddy's back, Daddy's back. And it was really a funny story because my real daddy is here, but I did not know him
Oh my
because
god.
I didn't go to know him. So, yeah, so lives happen, things happen to people, and things happen in such a way that marriage may have to be rearranged at some point. Not as if we are scattering marriage, but there is a rearrangement in the program. There are times that the husband may have to travel away for some time, the wife may have to travel away for some time. All of those situations come with challenges. And that is the reason why we need to brace up ourselves for whatever may come. Sometimes maybe as a result of study, sometimes maybe as a result of job or economical situation that oh you're having an opportunity here but your wife is not having that opportunity there yet. So there are a lot of disruptions that can happen in marriage, and there are different causes. And apart from that time, I really don't have the experience of my father living somewhere apart from where my mother is living, and that is the structure of our family as at that time. But my wife has better experience than I do because
Well, because mine was so what he's making reference to is that I grew up in a home where we had a weekend daddy because my dad travels for work on Sunday and comes back every Friday. But because it was in that situation, you could call it like a long distance relationship in a way, but it was consistent enough that it became a pattern of life. So it doesn't really, to us, look like a long
long
distance
distance
relationship
relationship.
again. Because whatever thing you grew up knowing and was consistent for somebody's like 30 years of working, it's like it's a lifestyle, that kind of a thing. But like he said, there are several things that happen that makes people have long distance relationship. We also had it for a while when my husband came to the US to start his study and we're still in Nigeria. So for how many months? Maybe like
Like
9 months
9 months, yeah.
thereabout. Yeah, it was a long distance relationship because he was in the United States, I was in Nigeria. We've also had friends too who have experienced that. Some for work, some for education. Like going back to my dad's story, I remember that my dad had to retire early when the federal government moved. What do you call
The
it? The
headquarter of
headquarter
federal government to
of
Abuja,
federal
from
government
Lagos
from
to Abuja.
Lagos to Abuja, and it was like, no, I can't do Abuja again. Like, I'm just fine. It's 2 years for me to retire. Let me just do it now. So those are different things that people experience. Like I've had different people too, like government worker. They carry daddy somewhere and stuff like that. And I remember that when I was serving, I had the opportunity of relating with different families too because I served in the Air Force base. So there were people that I never knew their husband, or like because the husband is also a military personnel and they were in fact there's a particular family that I was very close to, and she told me that they came back from the wedding ceremony and on the following Monday he was transfer letter for the man. They were in the same base before they got married, but the following Monday it was transfer letter for the man and he had to, that's the call of duty.
Hmm.
Of course, it looked malicious, but it was the call of duty. And since they got married, they've never been put together in the same Air Force base. It's always different places. So different things happen. Um, I just want to mention the fact that sometimes the cause of those separation in some people might look ambitious because there are times that you can just count your cost and be like, is this the
No.
life we want to live? Then maybe I'll drop, because I also know another family in the military base who told me that when they got married, himself and the wife had an agreement. You will never have a permanent job. Wherever they take me to, we go. So the woman always lives with the man. If they transfer tomorrow to Kaduna, they are going. Like, it's just a matter of resignation. Sorry, oh, they have transferred my husband. We are leaving. So for some people, there may be reasons to make a decision to know if that is the life you want to live or not. But in some situations, which is one of the things we'll mention when we are talking about how to manage it anyway, is you just have to know that there must be an end date to this, because you can't just continue to live your life um like open-ended, like you really don't know tomorrow. But I also want to put in a caution that if we know people who are undergoing such, we should try as much as possible to support them, because sometimes people make comments that makes people feel bad. Like, for example, now my husband had to come to the United States to begin his PhD. I don't have admission yet, and I don't have a visa to come with him. Now, if somebody starts calling me to say, "Did you really think of this well? What is PhD that you cannot do, that your husband cannot do in Nigeria? Why do you need to do that kind?" Like, there are different things people say. Like, let's assume it's the woman that has to travel like that, and they'll be like, "So you will leave your children? Are you even considering this way?" And like, there's a way that you talk and you make that person have added guilt over the struggle they're already having in their decision making. Because it's not that in every case it's easy for people, but they are just considering several things, economic issues and some other things of
Future.
future. How will this
And
work for us? Let's try this and stuff like that. So we should, if we know people who are undergoing that, we should try as much as possible to support them. um it is not in every case that people are just taking those decisions because they are unnecessarily ambitious. Let me stop this so that we can go to something else.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow, interesting. In addition to what Sister Bumi just shared, this time around when we have lots of people trying to relocate to different countries, we have some people in Nigeria trying to jackpot. It's the jackpot season. And due to situations, circumstances beyond their control, like Sister Bumi said, possibly it's the husband that has the privilege to live first, and the wife and the kids, if they have kids yet, they have to stay back and maybe for 9 months or 1 year thereabout before they'll be privileged to actually join the husband. Or possibly it might even be the other way around. In situations like these, the whole family cannot help it. So rather than make the person, the other spouse, feel so bad and frustrated, rejected, and things like that, we need to actually support, like she has said. So, looking at all these situations and reasons for which people actually experience long distance relationship in their marriages, how can we actually manage this? So we don't we should just dive into the discussion right away. What are the ways by which we can actually manage these situations in marriages such that marriages don't crash because of the long distance relationship that has come to stay as a result of one thing or the other?
yeah. So let me mention two or three things that may be very helpful. If you get married to a man or to a woman, we assume that you did not just start dating within a month or two and you decided to get married. So we assume that you have been in a relationship with a person for more than 6 months or more than a year, and you know the kind of person you marry, you know the kind of man, you know the kind of woman that you marry. Yeah, so it's very important to know the strength and the weaknesses of a man, and some strengths that may become weaknesses. So, and I will give some illustration to that. So, but let me give this key point. Number one, communication is very important. Constant communication. Communication is very easy now. I remember in those days I was talking about that my father traveled.
Days
It
of
was
letter
only
writing.
letter writing. And that letter may not come in the next 2 or 3 weeks or 1 month. By the time you get the letter, you also sit down to reply. So husband and wife were just communicating with letter. But sometimes some people that are close to rich families, they can get an opportunity to make phone call. which is long distance phone call, which will definitely cost him some money to make to Nigeria too. And you go and sit at the house of those people that has the phone that my husband wants to call. Let me just wait for 2, 3 hours. That kind of thing. It was tougher then. But today, it's not just phone call, it's video call. You can see what is happening. Each one of you can see what is happening and things like that. So communication is very, very important. And communication has to be well structured. You will know the time to call. Sometimes there have been an issue, or there have been issues like maybe the wife is trying to settle the kids, and the husband is calling. The wife is not able to pick the call at that time because she's getting the kid ready for school or she's driving, and then the husband become mad. I was calling you. What were you doing? Oh, you didn't that kind of thing. Maybe the husband is even in class, or maybe he studied overnight and he was asleep, and the woman was like, "Oh, there is a situation. I need to get him." And the woman keeps calling and calling and calling, and eventually, so communication and structured communication. Now, the second thing will be trust. If you have known the person you married, you don't need to doubt your spouse. If you call or you have an agreement to do something together, maybe to talk or to pray or to do something together at a point in time, and your spouse is somehow not available, maybe something changed or something did not work out, don't begin to think negatively. Maybe he has gone to be with another woman. Maybe another guy has come to visit her. Maybe different. So you need to know one another before you make such decisions of keeping a long distance relationship. It's very, very important. So for example, now me, I am a friendly person. I like keeping relationship with a man, keeping relationship with a woman before marriage and even after marriage. I believe that if I'm in a foreign land, I will be fine. And my wife is not there, maybe for 1 year or 2 years, I will be fine. But I don't like it. Because being open, I can be open to very positive people and very negative people. So I will be an easy target of attack and I may have vulnerabilities. So there is always a limit to how far every man and woman can go when we talk about being away from your wife, being away from your husband. So thankfully, my father was away for 3 years, and we didn't have any record of any evil thing that happened during those years. And we have known people that have been away for 1 year, and there were problems, and the marriage did not really settle even until maybe the husband or the wife died or something of that nature. So understand one another. And when you understand the strength, the weaknesses that individual may have, then you'll be able to plan your family on that basis. Understanding, communication, trust, all of those things has to come together. If you discover that, let me tell you I used to tell some of my people that there are many things I can do, but there are many things that I don't like doing. While growing up, my family know that it's always difficult for me to do household chores. Like I want to be the one to cook today, I want to be the one to wash, and it's always a struggle. But when I found myself in that situation, I had to cook for myself. I was cooking for myself. I was cooking for myself when I was in college. But when my wife came up, she started spoiling me, and I was not cooking. But when I had to move away in a long distance relationship, I had to start cooking, taking care of myself, wash my stuff, all those kind of things. So, and that may not be comfortable for a long time. If one is not disciplined enough, if one is not controlled enough, you have so many other young people that can say, "Well, let me come and cook for you." But I didn't allow that to happen, because if I allowed that to happen, then things begin to get messy along the line. So there are boundaries that you need to set. That if my husband will be walking away or my wife will be away for some years, then these are the things these boundaries has to be set to respect our marriages and also to maintain our marriages.
Yeah. And let me start from that point of like setting boundaries. I think having that established boundaries also encourage trust, because there is Nobody that cannot do anything.
And no
Some,
man that is infallible.
yeah, no man that is infallible. So the boundaries we put in will definitely be of help. And I will ride on that to say that you should ensure there's transparency. Now, like we said, this is a long-term relationship, right? Communicate, communicate, communicate. You can't overdo it. But transparency is very there. There are just some things that will happen that if you are not very conscious, you might just forget to mention it. It's not because you're trying to be malicious. It's just like, I don't think that's important. Oh, and I forgot to mention that if you don't enforce or make sure there's transparency, there will be situations of, oh yeah, so the person I was, that guy that I was talking about, that guy that I was discussing with, and it will be like, which guy are you talking about? Say, yeah, that I said I met at the church program at something something. I'm like, you didn't tell me about anybody. And by the time you start, even when it doesn't matter at all, it sends a question of, so you met someone, you forgot to tell me, you and this person are even talking and you did not tell me about it. Like, there's a way it's the devil can just ride on it to start painting a scenario of what did not happen, as if something, as if it is more than that, as if it is because this person is important to you that you are trying to keep it away from me, kind of a thing, which can lead to unnecessary argument. And at the end of the day, it becomes like, what are we even talking about? So ensure transparency. Try your best as much as possible to. I think for us, what we do is we have like recap. You
Yeah.
just talk about, yeah, so I went to this place, yeah, I saw this person, we are at this place, like just a daily recap that makes it easy to not leave some things out. And I will also say for the communication to have a schedule. Like, I know people who have experienced a situation of having this long term relationship, and you still see them do family devotions together every night. Like,
Yeah.
have that daily, just have that schedule. If there are children involved, ensure that the children have like frequent conversations with
With
the
you.
partner.
Yeah.
Maybe if it is the dad that is away or the mom that is away for that period of time, it's always helpful, not only for you as husband and wife, but for them even as children in the relationship. So have a schedule. It helps. Then I want to say that for long distance relationship, it is important to have an end date. I like,
Yeah.
there should be conversations around when will this end,
Stop.
or there must be like a vision of, for example, if it is study, you know that okay, he's going to get his degree, or but let it not be that we don't know. And sometimes that happens in situations where people do like some immigration stuffs, or people get caught in the web, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just going to do this job for 1 year to raise money. So if we have that agreement of 1 year, after the 1 year, what else are you doing? Because if we are not careful, it is at the beginning it's easy to maintain a close relationship, but as time progresses, life gets busy, things happen, and before one knows it, if there is no ending date, it doesn't really communicate to me that you want to be together again. Like, there should be that strong sense of, we have to come back together again. So let there be that vision of an hand. I think having that thought is always very helpful. And another thing that I know that it's a very serious challenge, especially for couple who have, of course, already become sexually active, is how do you maintain a sexual life? Like, people explore different things, which I don't know. Like, there are some things that I hear or I see even Christians encourage. Like, why not? You can use a sex toy since it is your husband knows about it, or since your wife knows about it. Well, um, I don't want to judge anyone, but for me, I really don't think it's advisable because it can take you down a route that may be hard to come back, a rabbit hole that may be hard to come out of in future. So for me, I would just say get busy. Let each partner be busy. Let this be a purpose. Let there be a purpose for the separation for that period of time, and let it each person get busy. So in being busy and being focused, I think you have less time to be bothered about such things. But
Yeah.
I don't know what your
Let
opinion
me
on that.
add to that last point. In the issue of sexual relationship, I think one of the things I've learned, Galatians chapter 5 verse 22, the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, and there is one,
Self
self-control.
control.
If I cannot control myself, and I cannot seek God's grace to help me in disciplining myself to the level of self-control when I'm away from my wife, then even when I'm with my wife, I will still not be able to control myself. So it's really important. If you're a child of God, trust God for that grace. Ask for that grace. There is no reason to be looking for toys, to be looking for machine to replace your wife or to replace your husband. To me, it even appears more like idolatry. It doesn't look clean. It doesn't look godly. So it's very, very important that we are very careful by the time we begin. We need to know the kind of people we listen to, the kind of people we move with, the kind of people the kind of things we watch, so that they will not introduce things that can send us on downward paths, or spiral, something that will lead us astray. And before we know it, we are in another realm, we are in
Mm-hmm.
another world
Mm-hmm.
that we cannot sustain. So anything that will make you to replace your husband, that will make you to replace your wife, that is what God is talking about in Exodus 20, when he was saying that do not have another image. Don't place something in your house or something image that will look like God. That we are bowing down to this, we are praising this, we are talking to this in place of God. Don't represent me with anything. That is what God is saying. Anything that will make you to be able to represent your husband or represent your wife, maybe you have another friend that you're always talking to instead of to your husband. You have another friend that you're always talking to instead of your wife. I'm not saying that you should not have friends, but if you are talking to a friend much more than your partner, there is a problem. That is a replacement already. If your affection is getting drawn to another person much more than your husband or wife, that is the problem. You may have stray thoughts, at
Yeah. Oh,
least
another
some,
object even.
yeah, but to be sincere, when they come, rebook them and get straight with your partner. It's very, very important. And we need to tell ourselves the truth.
Wow, 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 wow. Interesting. Thank you very much, San man. Thank you so much, bro. Lide. We have his comment here. Well said. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I really, really, I strongly agree with all these contributions. They've been amazing contributions. And just to add uh one or two things to what has already been shared by Brofola and Sister Bumi. You know, this communication of a thing, when couples are even together, we have some couples that they don't even really talk. The husband
Mm,
has gone to work from morning till night, comes back at night, and the wife is also busy. Maybe she's working and she needs to attend to the kids as well. They don't even really communicate together while they are together. And
mm,
now, when they are far away, the husband gives excuses. Oh, all this talk, 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 talk. I'm not really. And the wife is complaining. You are not here with me. I need to talk to you. But the husband is like, I'm not the talking type. What are you talking about? Just send me a message. What do you need? What do you need? Oh, tell me what you need and I'll send you the money. But you see, all this talk, 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 I don't really have the time for these discussions. And the wife is really, really affected because she doesn't even have the opportunity to communicate. And like Sister Bumi shared, like Brofola also shared, that all these little, little details. Oh, I went out this morning. I saw this person. I saw an old friend. Guess who I met today? We talked about this. We did this. These are one of the ways by which these are one of the things that strengthens the bond that brings couples together emotionally. But if you are not even available, if the husband or the wife is the one that complains, I don't have time to talk. So in situations like this, how can we help either of the partners? One of the partner is not available to communicate and they are far away. So how
yeah,
do we help couples like this?
yeah. Start know how to start.
Yeah. Let me jump at that because The way she was describing like the wife, I'm like, just carry your load and go and meet him. I think that in some cases, because I've also like we were discussing about a particular person's relationship. They're actually very older. Myself and my brother were talking about that station, and it was like, if I'm married to that kind of woman, I'll just go and get a job somewhere. And I think some people actually do that for, is it an excused divorce, or how should I call it? Like in their heart, if they had the option, if not because of religion or what people will say, they would have left the relationship. So getting a job out of state, going somewhere else, is like their settlement um, plan. So they're just like, oh, my job changed, oh, and they just leave the woman and the children. Go and be facing your problem.
Mm,
Yeah. So they are
mm.
so for those kind of people, this is really not long distance relationship. This is peaceful separation that is probably well planned out by one person. Now, if you had a partner and you know that you are having issues actually before this happened, like you yourself, you know that, am I not sure that my husband actually asked for this? Because we've seen people who did it. They will be the one to go and meet their boss and say, please, I want transfer. Take me to another place because I don't want to be here again. And now I'm talking to the partner who wants to save the marriage. It means you need to plan how to work out that difference. And for me, I think the first thing that came to my mind is you to have a plan. Move to your husband or move with the children, because some men, we make their wives baby mothers to be taking care of the children and not settle the scores. They'll settle them with money, they'll do all of those things because it's easier than facing the challenge. So if the wife wants the relationship to work, have your own have your own plan as well, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is just like the one that was just very
Yeah. Let
funny
me
to me. Yeah.
let me quickly say that breakdown in communication is a pathway to divorce. Breakdown in communication is a very strong pathway to a marriage crashing. In fact, some people are together in marriage. When the communication is broken down, the marriage is not holding, but you are just seeing them outside as if they are still married. And to be sincere with you, these are real life situations.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a friend that told me before that my wife, she's too problematic. So I've sought for transfer, and he decided to move away from the family. The problem did not surface in time, but after 2, 3 years, that was a huge problem. Huge problem. So I will not discuss it beyond that, but let me just tell you something. The way we used to play, myself and my wife, if I do something or I say something, my wife will say, Brofola, Brofola, you know you have problem. You know you have problem. I will say, yes, I know I have problem.
And you are my
And you
problem.
are the only problem I have. I will not turn it to laughter because she's my only problem. So if I've married, then I've married her with all her problems. If she has married me with all my problems. And we will manage ourselves, we will enjoy ourselves. And we say all those things jokingly because, you don't value what you have until you lose it.
Exactly.
So it's very, very important that we should not be used to rehearsal of losing your partner. Is yeah, no, no, no. It should not be that your partner is away and it's as if he's not there. Your partner is away and it's as if she's not there. You're already training yourself to be living life like a widow.
Hmm.
Is a very dangerous part. If your husband is away for 1 week and you don't really miss him,
There's something to
so
address.
yeah, there's something to address. If there are situations that makes him or her to be away for long, you know you are missing yourselves and you are communicating it and you are just struggling to make sure that things are working well, fine. But if your partner is away and you're at peace, oh my God, something is wrong and it has to be diagnosed fast. Because your partner that is away is already getting used to a certain kind of life. And if it's away for too long, I'm telling you, we may not have that too much of experience because we were not too much away from one another for up to a year. But there have been situations that people were away for 2 years, for 3 years, that they came together. Hmm. It took them another 1, 2, 3 years to understand themselves again,
Mm.
because things continue to change in our lives. The kind of people we relate with, the kind of children we are growing, different things. One thing I know that was really helpful is that while growing up, I was a very stubborn child, very stubborn. I gave my parents a lot of headache, especially my mom. So if they were to be keeping a long distance relationship, I don't know who I would have become today, because I gave my mom a lot of problem. There was a day that I did something that my mom looked at me and said, You are a Satan." She said in Yoruba, "Èṣù ni ẹ́." I was just so problematic.
Oh my god.
And if I will give you one last example from this, I used to be a neighbor. We used to be a neighbor to the host of this program, and she will never know this story. And there was a night like that I caused trouble at home, and they disciplined me, and I went out of the house. So when it was around 9 p.m., they were not seeing me. Then they did not see me. They woke up all my elderly ones. They sent them out, go and be checking different places, go and be checking houses. And I was in the compound. I ran to the back of the house of our host, and I was lying down on the floor. It was dark, and I was seeing them as they are moving around looking for me. I
Oh
was
my
just
god.
that problematic. But thank God both parents raised me, and I turned out to be who I am. And so there could be situations like that, that the children will become problematic, and it will
Mm.
be because the parents were not together to raise the children together, and it could be deadly for the family and even for the future of the kids.
Yeah, and I think that that's an important consideration, right? If you are the partner who have that separation plan as your own peace
Settlement.
settlement, know that it is not the best. Your children's future is at stake. Like you, you brought them to this world. They did not beg to come here. You are the one that brought them in this relationship. So try to work things out. Then another situation that I thought of are people who have some form of maybe like arranged marriages, or they were not really bonded together before they had a separation in their relationship. I think for that long distance relationship, you must have that strict end date. Like there must be plan. And if the plan is not working out, work life out together. Like make sure you get together so that you get to know one another. Because then it is not actually a marriage. It is just married by certificate. It is not married by living the life of the married life. So um,
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Interesting. Wow, this has really been interesting and practical. Thank you so much, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Bolaji, for these amazing contributions. So while you were talking, we had engineer Alabi Keolu joined the conversation in the comment section, and he was like, "Oh, great lessons from Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Bolaji. Thank you very much, sir, for joining the conversation." So,
Thank you.
guys, wow, it's been an interesting conversation so far, and it would be very good if you can share this video out to your friends, your colleagues at work, your siblings, and any other person that you know could benefit greatly from this discussion. It won't cost you anything just to share it out with them. Oh, you need this, you need to watch this, you need to listen to this. I'm very sure you're going to learn from this. You learn one or two things from this conversation. It will help them a long way beyond your own imaginations. And guys, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. I believe strongly that you must have learned one or two things from the conversation today. And guys, on this note, we'll be bringing this amazing discussion to a close. A very big thank you to our guest, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Bolaji, for their time with us once again. on the
Thank you.
platform today. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir and ma. And to come your way again, guys, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. On this note, we'll be closing for today. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ginseng Matters. Come back to Ginseng Matters on Ginseng Matters. It's Ginseng Matters. Yeah, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. It's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. Right now, it's Ginseng Matters. Come back to Ginseng Matters on Ginseng Matters. It's Ginseng Matters. Yeah, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. It's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. Right now, it's Ginseng Matters. Come back to Ginseng Matters on Ginseng Matters. It's Ginseng Matters. Yeah, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. It's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. Right now, it's Ginseng Matters. Come back to Ginseng Matters on Ginseng Matters. It's Ginseng Matters. Yeah, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. It's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. Right now, it's Ginseng Matters. Come back to Ginseng Matters on Ginseng Matters. It's Ginseng Matters. Yeah, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. It's still Ginseng Matters with Roy. Right now, it's Ginseng Matters. Come back to Ginseng Matters on Ginseng Matters. It's Ginseng Matters. Yeah, it's still Ginseng Matters with Roy.